Hi, I'm back again, this time with the Mars Science Laboratory Curiosity XP. That is the cruise stage, and the aeroshell looks something like the real one. And it was in a way hard to do because there are no cables in the stock game, and I always do stock builds. But it works. So the rocket doesn't look anything like the real one. And in fact the mission profile is different too, because what they did, they used the correct launch window, a proper launch window, unlike me. And after launching, the upper stage of the rocket accelerated the whole cruise stage and aeroshell package towards Mars, and they did it in one go. And of course, with this, they spared a lot of fuel because of the overt effect and such. And this way, the cruise stage didn't have a main engine, just course correction engines, smaller ones. But mine has these tanks, 12 tanks, and I use the fuel in them to do an escape from cabin, and then later on acceleration towards Duna. I wanted to do this faster, but somehow the maneuver node was quite stubborn, and it took quite a while. And later on, when I was heading towards Duna, I wanted to land in one of these dark, low altitude areas for the parachute to work better, but it wasn't that successful. So of course everybody did this curiosity landing thing in Kerbal quite a long time ago, but at that time I didn't know about Kerbal space program, so I have to do it now. And of course, Curiosity is on Mars. Has been on Mars for 2 years now, and it's returning wonderful science data, along with Opportunity, which has passed 10 years already, and it's still going. At a descent and landing is called 7 minutes of terror, because it takes the rover 7 minutes from the highest point of the Martian atmosphere to arrive at the ground safely, and it's very complex and could have failed many ways. One of the reasons I chose this relatively steep entry angle is to get the re-entry effects, what I usually don't get on Duna because of my shallow entry angles. So what the rover does, or Curiosity did, that it has some around 75 kilograms tungsten masses on one side to offset the center of gravity from the geometric center, and with this, much like Apollo did, it has a stable position in the airstream that is angled, which means it has some kind of lift, and with rolling the capsule it is possible to steer it and to fly off any errors which are already accumulated, and have a very precise landing ellipse. I detached the cruise stage from the aeroshell, and this is the point where the real rover does its hypersonic maneuvering for the precise landing. And in fact this was the first such maneuver done on another world, not on Earth, and it was successful. They had the precise landing despite the initial fears that the whole procedure, which is so complicated, might fail. So I detached the cruise stage, and because this aeroshell is built from wing parts in KSP, it is possible to steer it a little bit similar to the real one, and I tried it here, and based on the position of the detached cruise stage, it's visible that I can steer it a little bit, even in this thin atmosphere. So here come the re-entry effects, and at this point I realized that I'm coming in too fast, so I needed to open the parachute during re-entry, which I usually don't like, but I had to do it now. It was set to 5,000 meters instead of 2,500 to be sure that it slows me down in time. After this I could detach the heat shield, or at least the lower part of the aeroshell. For the real Curiosity, there is a video that the rover made itself when it detached the heat shield. It's quite interesting to watch. Actually, they had a lot of problems with the parachute during testing, so this was the largest supersonic parachute ever. So after this explosion, I knew that I'm very close to the ground, so I needed to detach the sky crane, and I almost crashed into the aeroshell. And this is why the real rover does a hard turn after detaching from the aeroshell to avoid any collisions. For me, it was this close encounter was because I used too much thrust, because all my practice was done on cabin, and I needed more thrust there. So when close to the ground, I activated the sky crane mechanism, which is made of cubic octagonal structures, and I activated the brakes too late. At this point, the rover is a separate entity, so the brakes didn't turn on. But my landing was successful anyway. Here I switched to the rover and detached the sky crane to fly off safely. It can be seen that the rover is rolling, so I switched back to the rover and stopped rolling. Every wheel was intact, so it was successful. The rover is trying to be similar to the Curiosity. Nice explosion there. The sky crane crashed. So it's trying to be similar to the Curiosity one with these RTGs at the back. Maybe the mast and the arm on the two sides, but it's not very similar. There is a yet unnamed 2020 mission which will use the same Curiosity chassis, maybe with improved wheels to avoid this quick erosion of them. And it will have zoom, stereo cameras, and some better science instrumentation on the outside for material detection, material science. It will not have the advanced laboratory parts. Instead of that, it will have a container, canister, for sample returns. It cannot return the samples by itself, but it will collect them, and some later missions will return this container to Earth. And it does it so that it has a drill which is completely different from the one using Curiosity, that it doesn't grind the material to fine powder for analysis, but it keeps it as a core sample, and it takes this core sample out and puts it back to the container. This, as it turns out, it's quite similar to Curiosity in a way that it's almost 1 ton. It's a little bit more, 1.08, and the RTG is supported with enough power to keep this light going on. Although when the wheels are going, then the battery is depleting, but not very fast. It's also quite stable, so it can move quite well. And anyway, when I checked the sky crane, despite the explosions, it didn't crash so much as I thought, because that base plate I built it on is quite tough, and it shielded it from most of the damage. So actually, the fuel tanks are still there, and one light is still going. But that was it. So I managed to get this rover Curiosity style onto the Thanks for watching. Bye.